All right, let's see. I gotta check this box. Jermaine, are you gonna tell me when we're live?
Yep, I'm gonna tell you we'll be live in like 2 seconds. Just gotta put it in. Page Army Mentor.
Is it Castillo?
Castillo.
Castillo. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You are live, Dave.
All right, we're live. Welcome everybody that's joining us. We are going to be doing recording a podcast, and I got two gentlemen with me today. We're gonna dissect their deal here on Deal Lab. So the way this is going to go, before we start the recording, we're actually recording now, but before we start the podcast recording, is we're going to go through the deal that they did. We're going to dissect it. We're going to find all the interesting parts of it. We're going to get educated on how they got this deal done. And then we're going to do a lightning round, and that's going to end the podcast. I'll sign off, but we won't really be signing off because you that are watching can ask questions. So while you're watching, if a question pops up, write it down or put it right in the chat, because Jermaine's going to be collecting the questions. And then when we sign off on the podcast, then we'll go back live and we'll take questions for a while. All right, so that's how it's going to go. You guys ready? These guys are completely green. We just jumped on. They didn't know what was happening. We just said, hey, could you be on at 1 o'clock tomorrow? And they said, yes. I said, thank you. So we're going to start the podcast in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to another edition of Multifamily Deal Lab, where we dissect deals from the beginning to the end. And today I've got two partners with me, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So guys, tell everybody who you are and where you're from.
Well, hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy New Year. Well, my name is Hans Salinger. I am originally from Venezuela. I'm half German. That's why I have this German name. I've been in the program with RE Mentor since March of 2022, and we were able to close this deal before the year's end on December 15th with 100 units. I have a background of business management. I've been manager for businesses for over 25 years, and I've been a real estate investor for the past, more than 10 years. So here we are.
All right, Luis.
Hello, everyone. Luis Castillo. I'm from Miami, originally from Nicaragua. I've been into international business, international financing for many years, including the U.S. government, and I had a license of broker realtor for many years. I did some small investment, but then I got involved with RE Mentor, and here we are celebrating.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so first of all, we're going to be talking about a 100-unit deal in Lubbock, Texas. But first of all, how did you two become partners?
Well, we actually became partners through the program. We signed up together, and we met at a previous seminar, and we decided that we wanted to start doing the multifamily. So we had some initial chemistry, and we decided to go together.
That's interesting. So you met at a preview, and then you went to the Multifamily Millions event,
Yes.
and then from there you started going out and looking for deals. That's
Yep.
that's a lot. It usually happens. People go to the preview, go to the MFM, Multifamily Millions, and then they meet a partner, and then they go out. So that's interesting. All right, so good. So you got started. This is describe the deal.
Well, I'll give a quick description, but then Hans can go. It's 100 units in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah.
It's according to our indicator, it's a C class, and is in a B area.
Let me just clarify something for those that aren't familiar with RE Indicator. He's referring to a software called RE Indicator that actually identifies not only emerging markets or what phase the market cycle a particular market is, but what particular the ABCD areas and what phase of the cycle actual neighborhoods are in. So that's RE Indicator. Go ahead. Sorry, Luis.
Thank you. Yeah, it's 7.2, 94 occupy, and we had a plan for holding 5 to 7 years. The value of the with the current market is $200 to $300 per unit. We got it a assumable loan with a supplemental loan, 65 loan to value.
65% LTV, nice.
Final LTV.
Hans, how did you find this deal?
Well, this was Luis and I. We've been very active looking for deals, and we actually had several LOIs at the same time going on. And we had communications with one property management company, and we asked them to take a look at the deal for us. and they came back and say, hey guys, run from this. This is not a good deal. And then after a couple of days, they called me back and they said, hey, I know the other deal was not good, but we know that there's another deal coming to the market soon. We actually know the broker, and he's preparing all the documents. If you want, I can introduce you to them. And I said, yeah, sure. And that's how we got the contact with the broker, was through the property management company. And we were actually the first ones to contact him. When we contacted him, he said, how did you get my number? And how did you know about this deal? Because it's not even on the market yet. I'm still preparing the OM. I said, well, you know where to shoot it first.
But what is interesting also that we had like 4 or 5 different LOI almost at the same time.
Yeah.
We even had another one that it was supposedly to be accepted, and it came back to us accepted. And then at the same time we had that one, we had also the Texas one. So we had like a 2 accepted LOI, and we say, okay, we'll take both. And we did all the due diligence for 2 of them. But at the last moment, the other property, the seller was not easy to cooperate. And also we could not confirm the expenses and the income against the bank statement. So we took the advice from our sponsor. We had to let it go. And then we stayed with the Texas one.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can't confirm the income from the bank statements, that's a big red flag. And then when you can't confirm the expenses, it's like you're totally going in blind. So, you know, it sucks when you do all of that work and then you get to that point, you know, and you realize it's like, you know, this deal's not going to work because you can't confirm any of the numbers. You know, it's too much risk. But the good thing was you had another deal. So the broker, so did he put it out to market? Did he accept your offer? How did that go?
Well, initially he did not accept our offer. We worked with our coach, Don Goff, as a coach in the program. And we came to with a price that they were asking 7.7 million. That was their asking price, right? And when I talked to the broker, he said, well, whisper price would be like 7.6. So
it's not a big difference.
Not a big difference, no. And I verbally had talked to the broker and I said, we could be at 6.9. And he said, no, the sellers are not going to go with that. So he put the property into the market. And we did some back and forth internal numbers, and then we came up with the 7.3. I was communicating.
So how did you get from 6.9, which was that a number that met the Trinity?
That was a number. Yes, that was a number that would hit the Trinity comfortably. Let's put it like that. 7.3 was stretching it a little bit.
Yeah. So where did you stretch? Did you assume you could raise rents? You know, what assumptions did you make in order to get to that higher number?
Well, basically, when we talked to the different property management companies, and I think that's one of the key things that we learned is how important it is actually to have them on board early in the process. They actually confirmed that the rents were way below market, because just a quick story about the seller. This seller, he owned the property for 10 years, and he was a constructor from Sweden. He had an office in California. So he took the property with a lot of love. So he changed the flat roofs to pitch roofs. They painted the property. They did a lot of upgrades to the property. But 2 years ago, he refinanced that property, and he got a very interesting loan for 4.23% with 5% with 5 years interest only. And well, he actually had made pretty much his money already, and he was self-managing the property. So basically, they were not interested in raising the rent. They were more interested in having the property stable, right? So when we found out those details, we could actually see that we were $200 to $300 below our current market rents with that property, and that we didn't have to do too much to the units because he already did all the floors. He almost did all the units, the cabinets and appliances. So there was not much that needed to be done other than to keep raising the rents to current market. So that's how we tweaked a little bit the numbers to hit the Trinity with a value play.
Okay, so Louis, tell me about your cash on cash return going in for, say, the first 4 or 5 months. I got 2 questions actually. So if your assumptions are based on the rental increases, then did you do a lease analysis to determine when those rent increases were going to hit?
Yes, our total target was 3 years. So we had a different increase during the first couple of years.
You targeted rent increases for 3 years? Why not just 1 year?
Well, we had target every year, but our top to after bring the value add of each
Yeah.
of the property.
Oh, I see. Oh, so were rents, but didn't I just hear that there wasn't a lot to do to the units?
Yes.
There's some minors where there's some minors repairs to the unit upgrades compared to be at the same rates at other units that we went to see.
Okay, so so did you need to do the upgrades prior to increasing the rents, or did you start increasing rents and be doing the upgrades at the same time?
We have many units that we can do that because they were very low in rent. But in order to make it comparable in the next few years, we're planning to increase the rent after the upgrade, of course.
The upgrades that we're
Okay.
going to do is some minor, it's a light renovations. We're going to do some light fixtures. We're going to, it's like 20% of the units still need to be renovated. 80% were already, let's say, in a premium state. So we're going to take those 20% and going to do the rest of the renovation, which is changing the cabinet doors or resurfacing them and putting some new appliances. Floors and carpets were practically new in all the units. So in some of them, we need to put a little bit more love. We have a reserve of for this property for about $4,500 per unit that we have for renovations. So it's not a big renovation that we need to do. But yes, we're going to do something. Our way of thinking is also we cannot just increase rent without giving something. So we're going to start doing some stuff to the units in order to push those rents. But we already started. We closed on December 15. We already had our first meeting with the property management, our first Monday morning report, and we already started increasing some of the units that were having the rents end now in the end of December and beginning of January.
Without doing anything to the units?
Without doing anything, yeah.
Okay, all right, so now the 3 or 4 questions popped up as you were talking. So first of all, so you said that 80% of the units, you can increase the rents to market. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Yep.
So in your analysis, when you're doing your rent analysis, you must have been looking at, okay, over the next 3 months, how many leases are coming, which unit leases are coming due, and which ones are in the 80% and which ones are in the 20%.
Correct.
Right. So the ones that are in the 80%, you're increasing the market. The ones that are in the 20%, what are you doing with them? I know you're going to be doing the rehab, but what type of a rental increase are you doing with them?
Well, it depends. On some of them, the ones that we have, the 30% that are not to current status, we have to say we have 8 units that are currently vacant. So the first thing that we're doing is going with
No, I want to talk about the renewals.
Yes.
Because when you take over a property in those first 2 months, you're probably not gonna those unit upgrades aren't gonna happen. So
No.
are you doing any type of an increase for those tenants, and are you putting them on a 6-month or a 1-year lease?
We're putting them on a 6-month lease, and we're doing we're not putting them completely depending. And for example, one of the units, let's say the 2-bedroom, the current market is about at $900 per door. Right.
Yeah.
So our average is at 760. We have some units that are at 870, 890, but we have some other units that are at 600. So depending, some of the tenants we're going to let go because probably somebody who's paying 600, we are trying to push them to 800 or 8. Yeah. But sometimes we won't be able to accomplish that $200 jump just right out of the gate. So some of them are going to leave, and some of those that are closer to our number, we're increasing about $80, or we're trying to push between $50 and $80 increments on the rents on the renewals for a 6-month lease, and then on another 6 months we're going to do another $50 to $80 increase. Those are the push that we're trying to accomplish on the first 6 months.
So you made a couple of good points there. One of them being the fact that some people are just not going to be able to afford that jump. The market changed, but their income didn't change. So they're going to have to go out and find a place that they can afford. But that doesn't mean that you don't raise the rents.
That doesn't mean.
Because now your property is progressing. So
Yeah.
that was one point. The second point I liked, and I'm just going to explain it for those that didn't quite catch it, is when you've got a tenant base, when you're taking over a property, and you've got units that need to be renovated and the tenant's going to stay, you increase their rents, not to market, but to what you think that they can bear, what that unit will bear. You put them on a 6-month lease. Within the next 6 months, you upgrade those units, and then you give them another raise to market.
Correctly.
So that's what's
Correctly.
the strategy. I just wanted to explain that to everybody.
Yeah.
The other thing, the
And
other
also
comment that
because-
you made, hold on for one
because-
second, because you
yeah.
probably, if you say something, I'll probably come up with another question. And I just want to get this one out. And that is, Hans, you made a comment that you didn't want to raise the rents without giving something. Could you expand on that a little bit? Well, like what are you doing? What are you giving?
Well, depending on what the status of the unit is. For example, we have some units that we are doing some light renovations. There already are premium units, but they are not to the current rent. So we still have room to put some light fixtures or to change maybe a microwave, to put a new microwave on the unit. You know, some minor things that you can give the tenant, maybe, you know, change a carpet that's not that expensive on one of the units, because most of these units, they have carpet only on the bedrooms. The rest are new vinyl floors. So you can change a carpet on a bedroom, which is not something very expensive to do. And they have now the feeling, okay, they're doing something for me, and yes, I'll accept the new rate.
Absolutely. And the mindset there, by the way, just the business mindset there is, it costs a lot more to turn a unit than it does to give some sort of perceived value,
Yes.
like the microwave, like a rug. So, I mean, that costs us a lot less than turning the unit. So therefore, in the long run, the owner makes out. So that's excellent strategy. So Louis, what were you going to say?
Yeah, especially considering that we have some unit ready. So we don't want to just let the people go right away. There's some unit ready to rent. So why would push the other ones?
Absolutely. All right. So, but still, I'm still stuck in this 3 year. Why is it taking 3 years to get the, are you saying that you're going to do the renovations in the first year, raise most of the rents to market, and then you'll be able to increase the next year and then increase the year after that?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So that strategy is concerning in this type of market. And the reason it is because I just happened to read something the other day that I think it was 82% of the markets, rents are decreasing instead of increasing. So what type of a bumper do you have, or what type of like maybe if you can't, I firmly believe that this market, like we're in 2009 again, right? This year we're in 2009. That was the transition year before the next run. 2023 is the transition year before the next run. It's just like I explained it at a staff meeting this morning. It's like if you ever did Jiffy Pop popcorn, right? Well, you got to put it on there. You got to heat it all up. You start shaking it, and all of a sudden you got pop, pop, and the deals start dropping. These deals will start dropping this year. People are going to get in trouble. There's going to be there's just going to be properties that you can take over because the people can't afford the new interest rates on debt that needs to be redone. So then, it's pop, 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 and then boom, 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 the whole market takes off. That's next year when everybody really starts running hard. So I do believe that the rents are going to start increasing a year after next, if not next year. So what type of returns did you project for this year, next year, and the year after?
That's a good question. So for our investors in the first year, we have projected a 4% return, cash on cash on the first year. On the second year, we're going to be close to the 6%. And on the third year, we're on the 7%. And then after the third year, we're planning to keep the property between 5 to 7 years. Then after the third year, we are always above the 7%. So we got an average of about a 7% cash on cash. And it's important that on the buffer side that we had on our underwriting, we have actually one is the occupancy. Even though the property is currently on a 94% occupied, and let's say current market average, according to what we spoke to the brokers and the property management in Lubbock, it's about between a 5 and a 6% is normal. We did for the first year, we have a 12% vacancy in our underwriting because we say we're going to start pushing the rent. Right. So we're going to have some people that would not be able to afford. We're going to start doing some renovations. So we were very conservative on our underwriting. So I think a 12% was on the high side All right. We are for the second year at 10%, and for the third year we have an 8% of vacancy. So that's one of the buffers that we put on our numbers, just to make sure that if we start bumping the rents and we don't get the acceptance or some people need to leave, that we have that on our underwriting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's good
Also,
stuff.
also our comparables are larger than the our property is larger than the comparables, so we have a value added there.
Are you guys doing a pref?
I'm sorry.
No,
What was the deal structure for your investors? Was it just one class? Were the multi-classes? Was there pref involved? Waterfalls?
it was
Explain it
one
to us.
class. It was
Yeah.
very simple. It was a very simple deal. It was one class, only A type, and it's a 70-30 split between investors and the sponsors. And we did not have a pref. We had 6.9% is the average cash on cash on this deal, about 7%. And we have a 19% average rate of return on the hold period between 5 and 7 years, which has an equity multiplier of about 2.34. Meaning if you invest $100,000, you would get $234,000 out of the investment between the cash on cash and the exit strategy.
That's really good. I like that conservative deal structure going in.
And also it was
Yes.
a family friend raising funds.
It was
Oh,
506B, yes.
OCB?
Yeah, and thank you to our sponsor, which is without him, we couldn't done that good as we did, and no extensions.
I
So
think
let's talk about the raise. So how much did you raise?
the raise was $3.6 million. And I gotta say, as Luis was saying, our sponsor was Rob Rosell and Claudia Rosell. Without them, it would have been impossible. I have to say, they were a crucial part of all this. They really helped us dissect all those details that we needed to do. They also put us in contact with a very strong underwriting, who was Hitomi. Hitomi Yasuda also came from the RE Mentor program. So that's how we build our team. And I think it was very good to have so many eyes looking at everything, and with people that had that much more experience than we did. And the race, I got to tell you, I thought it was going to be easier.
Hold on for 1 second before we get there. I just want to give a shout out to Rob Rosell. He's a good friend of mine. He's been a student of ours for a while. But when we did Ultimate Partnering last year, and we were raising money for Abington Copes, which is a local organization that fights drug abuse here, he stepped up and he matched the first year, the first day's raise, which we raised $53,000. He cut a check for $53,000 and matched it. So
Wow.
I do big kudos to Rob Rosell. We love that guy, and he's saving lives. Saved his own life. He was an addict, and now he's helping us save other people's lives as well. So, so talk about that. The raise was much harder than you thought it was going to be. It was your first one. Talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I had raised funds before for other business of mine, but never this amount, and never in such a short period of time or under this amount of pressure. Because once I think Luis and I, we were both concentrated on trying to bring this to the point that we had a deal in our hand. And I personally started when we had the deal already basically under contract. That's when I say, okay, we have it under contract. SEC approved all the documents. I'm going to start calling people. And I think I underestimated how much work it actually is to make those phone calls and start talking to people and start explaining what you're doing, because most of them, they didn't even know what multifamily is. So you have to explain what is multifamily and why is it a good asset class and why is it a good investment. So yes, I mean, we had a goal for each of us on the team, on the GP side. And I got to tell you, it's very important to have a strong sponsor that has experience with raising money, because if Rob and Claudia wouldn't have been on the team, I believe we could have looked very ugly, because at the end of the day, they saved the day.
It sounds to me that you may not have been as prepared as you could have been, because if you were educating people about multifamily, those really aren't the people that you wanted to be calling. You wanted to be calling, like, you went to Ultimate Partnering, so you could have gotten. I'm sure you got cards from people there as well, and I'm sure you made phone calls there. But the more calls you made to people that were aware of the type of investment and that actually raised their hand before and said, yes, this is what I'm interested in as well, That would have been easier, a lot easier had you done that. Had you built your list is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and as we know, 50% of the people that say that they're going to give us money that will go on your list won't. But that's okay. And you don't know which 50% they are, but that's okay. Just as long as you play the numbers. If you know you got to raise 3 million, then you make sure you get a list of 6 million. You know,
Yes.
if you know you're going after $3 million deals that you're going to have to raise, then make sure that your list justifies that, doubles that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
also,
how you play
I-
that game.
Also,
Louis?
I have a big list with a high net worth individual, but if you don't contact them in advance,
Oh,
you have
yeah.
nothing. You have to call them before you get the deal.
Yeah,
That's
you got to
something
keep
that I
you
learned.
got to
You
keep in
have to.
contact with them. You can build a
Before
list, but
that.
if you're not, you got to nurture that list. You got to,
Yep.
you got to let
At
them
least
know what
that's
you're
no
doing,
value.
offers you're putting in. Yep. Yeah, or else they forget about you. They're onto something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Not
have to
only
let it
that,
down.
is as you're connecting with people after they've gotten on your list and raised their hand, you're actually building trust.
Yes.
You know, so when you're contacting them on a regular basis and telling them what you're doing and just telling about your business, you're building trust. So then when you do call them, it's like, all right, I know this guy. You know, like something like this. Now you're on this podcast, right? So this is something you send us over an email. Dave, give me a copy of that podcast, and we
Yeah.
gladly send it over to you, and you send it to your list. Say, hey, we were just on Dave's podcast. You know, and they listen to you, they listen to this interview, and it builds trust. Those are the things you do that makes those phone calls a lot easier.
Yeah. Today I sent that this podcast invitation to over 200 people. So I
Oh, you
hope
did?
that some of them are here. I so glad.
Yep.
Hi
That's
to
awesome.
all of you that are listening to us. Thank you. Thank you
That's
for
awesome.
investing with us. as
Different
well.
groups.
That's awesome. So what was the most challenge other than the raise? What was either the biggest surprise or the most challenging aspect of this deal?
I will come back to the same, that I underestimate that we do have to contact those future investors and explain them what multifamily is, because they're new for them. Many people, they don't even realize it's such
Oh,
a,
yeah.
we realize that this industry is such a small industry that many people, they don't know about it.
Yeah, oh, yeah. And I mean, the first objection you need to overcome is tenant's going to trash a place and they're not going to pay you the rent and property's going to get foreclosed on.
Yeah.
One of the questions I always get, and now I'll just answer it before it's asked, is during the first investor call after the property's closed, somebody will say, Dave, what happens if the investors don't pay the rents? And I say, then we get foreclosed on. It's totally transparent. It's totally true. The chances of it happening are like nothing, because your due diligence buys the property, but it's the answer that they know is right, but they don't expect you to hear you say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now I just say that on the first call, and I just jest about it, but it's true. All right. So did you have another, Hans, did you have a big challenge or surprise that was different?
I gotta say that I gotta go back to the thing of how important it is to have a good sponsor. There were so many details with the attorneys that we needed to sort out. There were a lot of details. This was an assumable loan, so I think that's also very good with this lending environment that we have right now, to assume a debt with a 4.23 interest rate and put a supplemental. So we have a combined interest rate of 5%. I think that's from this current condition is an amazing amazing deal. But on that assumption, there were so many details that we didn't have the knowledge. So to have a sponsor on your team that actually knows how to, respond to all the questions that the lender has, the different attorneys, it brings a lot of value. I would say anybody who's starting on this business, find yourself a good sponsor that will help you, because the value that they bring is just amazing.
I just want to give a plug for the Lindahl Group. We sponsor deals as well, but you are right. And I would love to be people's sponsors on these types of deals, which we usually do. But you are so right, because when you're first starting out and you're getting in a good sized deal like this, having somebody that has done it several times beforehand, that has those relationships, that really understands it, because I didn't realize this was assumable. That's a whole different animal in itself, right? And I want to ask you, how many months did it take you to close this deal?
Well, we actually closed 11 days earlier than what we had on the contract. We did this very
How many months
fast.
was it?
We had the property in contract in October and we closed in the December 15th. So it was
Wow.
45 days.
That's like
Almost 60 days.
That's like a land record with an assumable deal. Because typically, you know, that you put down that the assumable deal is going to close in 60 days, but it never does. It's either, you know, it's either 3 to 5 months to close an assumable deal because of all the information they asked for. But because you had a sponsor that was knowledgeable, that has been through them, it's not just because of what they ask you and you may not know the answers, but it's also because the banks are slow when they're doing this assumable, because they want to make sure that you're either equal or of greater value than the person you're replacing on that note. So they do a lot of their own due diligence on you as well. So
yes, yes. And
all right,
then
go ahead.
getting a supplemental on top of that was also an interesting challenge.
And that was through another institution?
Oh, with the same.
Oh, yeah, with the same one, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that's unusual to go with another institution, but yeah. All right, excellent. Listen, we're getting close to the end, so I want to do what we call lightning round questions, okay? So some of these are fun, some of them are straightforward, but just the right answer is the first one that comes to the top of your head. All right? So let's see, what's the last book you read and how did it change your life?
Well, the last one that I read is the one that I'm reading is Habit of the High Achievers. It's the one that I'm reading right now.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's different stories of different high achievers. The founder of Success Magazine is there, so right away I went back to his. Forgot I was there, so I went back to his YouTube channel.
Darren Hardy.
Darren Hardy, yeah.
He spoke at Ultimate Partnering 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And the last one that I read it for second time, How to Dive with Sharks. That was for second time.
How to Dive with Sharks?
Where do you go?
Or is that Harvey McKay's book, How to Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive?
That's the one.
Oh, that's an awesome book.
I was looking at. Yeah, that's a good.
That's timeless.
Time.
Yeah, that's timeless. That was written like 20 years ago. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, how about you, Hans?
And I have your books right here, by the way.
Oh, I can see my books.
All your books are there.
Hey, there's a new one coming out.
I know. I'm waiting for that one.
Yeah, it'll be here. I get a little sidetracked at Christmas.
Well, I was rereading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and the last book before that was The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And before that, I had from Robert Kiyosaki, Fake, which I think is an amazing book as well.
Okay, so I got a question for you. Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Well, could you repeat the question again, please?
I don't write these questions. Would you, but this is a good one. Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
1 big horse-sized duck.
All right, listen. Recommend another podcast that you listen to.
Oh, the one that you say, Darren Harris. I mean, yes, I'll start listening to him.
Okay. Is that the name of it?
He said he has a name on it. Here right now.
And Hans, while he's looking that up, what's another podcast you listen to?
I'm also listening to Alex Love Lee. He has a good podcast about multifamily as well.
Excellent.
Insane productivity. That's the name.
Insane Productivity. Excellent. Yeah. What's the best movie you've seen in the last 2 years?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm not sure.
I have small
Avatar,
kids.
maybe. Avatar, maybe.
Avatar?
Avatar, I guess.
I hear Avatar 2 is really good.
You see, the funny part is I don't watch movie. I only watch movie. I don't know the title because my wife tell me watch this movie. That's the only reason I watch a movie. So I never know the title.
I have 2 small kids, so they got the TV has been kidnapped by them. So all my latest movies are Disney or Pixar movies.
Encanto. I've got 3 small kids, and it's Encanto.
Yes, Encanto has been amazing for them. And also Moana is something that they look at constantly.
Mm-hmm. If you could display 1 sentence in the sky, what would it be?
Believing is seeing.
Excellent. Lewis?
The one by Henry Ford is the one that I have in mind recently. Your best friend is the one who brings the best out of you.
If you could have dinner with anybody that's dead, if they could come back to life, who would it be?
Oh, Dale Carnegie. 100%.
Awesome. Hans?
Napoleon Hill.
Awesome. Mine would be my father.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, last one. Is it right for vegetarians to eat animal crackers?
It depends how it's made.
All right, so that's another edition of Multifamily Deal Lab, and this is how they did that deal in Lubbock, Texas. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for having us, David.
All
We
right.
appreciate it.
You guys are awesome.
Blessings for everybody.
Thank you.
And cut. All right, so now you guys are awesome. That was really good. That was a lot of great information. You know, a lot of gems in there for people that are certainly just starting out listening, and then for those that have already done deals, the reminders. You know, reminders to just to keep these things in mind. They're good. All right, so Jermaine.
Hey, Dave, congratulations, Louis and Hans. Great job. We got a ton of questions that were asked on the chat, so I'm going to read them through. For anybody who wants to ask a question, please put it in the chat, and then we'll get you guys, we'll answer their question right away. So the first one's from Brian. Brian says, congratulations, guys. How did you determine what property manager to use?
Well, that was easy. We had to interview different of them, but he told me, recommended one at the last moment. And we had like a half an hour, maybe an hour with each of the property. And we felt comfortable with this, with Central Partners. It's a team decision. We all had to vote.
This one's from Crystal. She writes, can you explain the terms on the assumable loan and the other financing, I believe, that you mentioned?
Yes, the term was, there's a 10-year still remaining on the loan, 21 months still of interest only. It's a 4.23% on the assumable loan. And we had a supplemental loan that we got for 7.33%, matching the same terms as the original loan. So combined, we have 5% interest.
Two important questions. First one being, can it be assumed again?
Yes.
Yep.
And the prepayment penalty. How does that? What type of, is it defeasance yield maintenance? Is it a prepayment penalty? And how long does it go?
It's a yield maintenance prepayment penalty, and if we would have paid that penalty today, it would have been $90,000, and it just goes down year after year. So It's not, yeah.
Well, you know why it's 90,000 today? That's because rates have risen so much.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like if you're going to sell this thing in 5 years, it all depends, you know, yield maintenance can decrease as well, but you're going to sell in 5 years and rates are back down, that penalty is going to be a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But still, it's what you consider when you're going into these deals. Next question, Jermaine.
All right. I don't know who this is from. They didn't put their name, but this question is, how did Louis and Hans choose their sponsor?
Well,
we interviewed. Sorry, you want to answer that, Luis?
Go ahead. I could add up something after that. Okay.
Okay, we attended to the sponsorship event, the online sponsorship event that was organized with our mentor. We got the numbers from Jeannie from all the sponsors. Our coach recommended us to call all of them, which we did. We called everybody. I think only 2 of them, Luis, didn't answer, but all the others answered. And we interviewed all of them. And we actually had another deal before this one that was Invest in Final, and we had already talked with that with Rob, and we had built some rapport with him, and we understood how he was working. And when we got the second deal in Texas, we said, well, why should we start experimenting if we already went so far with Rob? And I think that's how we declined to go with him.
I add something else that also when we interview the different sponsor, we always exchange information. So we can say, what do you think about this one? Did I get it right? Hans sent me his information about the sponsor, I sent it mine. So we put it together. And also I read the book from Rob Rosell. Mm-hmm. Just a matter of fact, I read Jeannie lent it to me, and he has a dedication to David Lindahl. So I got it and I gave it back to her, and I bought another one, and he signed Rob. So, but I guess on the book I learned about how big is his heart for Rob Rosell, and I do take a lot of admiration of that.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was the last push. I said, you know what, let's go with Rob.
He
Awesome.
also was kind enough to put us in contact with other team members that were strong in the areas where we needed some strength. But like he told me, for example, she's part of the deal. She's such a strong underwriter, and she really added a lot of value to the whole equation, right? So that was, I think, Rob is an amazing sponsor.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Okay, next question.
All right, this one's from Irma. She says, I'm very proud of you guys. First of all, how did you split the acquisition fee? And who's doing the asset management?
We all do the asset management. We were not concerned, and I don't think we're not even concerned right now about the splitting. Hans said it earlier that, I think you mentioned before, Hans, about don't look what Jim Rohn said. Don't look at the money. I mean, you just look for where you become during the process. That's what he said. So from the beginning, we didn't worry about that. I said, look, whatever Rob give us, whatever it is, we don't care. We just want to be there. So you want to be there. So at this moment, I haven't even looked at it. I mean, so we split it in 5 different categories. I don't keep on track on that. Tell the truth. You just be there on the deal. That's the most important, I guess.
The categories were split on performance based, and it was finding the deal had a percentage. Taking down the deal was another one. Putting the earnest money deposit was another part. Raising the money is another part, and the asset management is another part. So
Were those split equally, 20%?
No, we had raising the money has a little bit more. It was 30%.
Yeah.
And but the rest were split more or less equally. Rob was very kind, knowing that we could not put the earnest money deposit down, so he lowered that percentage significantly in this case, and he put it right. So, but yeah. So at the end, I think it's a very fair way of splitting the GP, because it's based on what we bring to the table. So bringing the deal was an important part, of course, and then raising the capital is another part, and asset management is another big part. So those are like the 3 big categories.
Excellent. Good question. Next one.
All right, they're rolling in, so we're gonna have to go pretty quickly on these. So this one's from Noel. He says, congratulations, guys. They say the work begins once you take ownership. Can you describe your daily activity after you close the deal?
Yeah, the work really begins when you get the property. Yes, there's a lot of, now you have to implement the business plan. Now it's time to put it in action. What we have done right now is have a lot of meetings regarding on how we're going to increase the rent. The takeover has been in a time where it's holidays, so it has been a challenge, but the property management company has been amazing. And yeah, so, but it's making it happen.
Yeah, we had 2 meetings. First, we had the strategy meeting, and then we had a meeting, that's where we talk all those different details, what we're planning to do. The property manager gave us a business plan, and we had another meeting with the employees of the property manager, and then we had the Monday morning report. So that's everything about implementation.
Perfect. This one's from Todd. He wants to know, was the sponsor the only one on the loan, and how many people are actually on the loan if he's not?
We all are in the loan. We all are in the loan.
Yeah, that's really important, especially when you're just starting out. Get on that loan with the sponsor, because that gives you credibility and momentum moving forward.
Yes.
All right, this one's from Joe. He says, how often do you guys visit the property before you close the deal, and how important were those visits?
Well, Hans been twice. I've been once. The whole team went once to do the before closing, but then the takeover, Hans went over there.
And it's very important to be there when you do the first due diligence. Not only send the property management. There's a lot of things that you see, and there's a lot of conversations going on the side that maybe are not on a report that you want to be there and listen to. So it's very important to be there.
All right, this one's from Seuss. She says, would you be able to refinance a supplemental loan if the interest rate goes down?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So that was that considered secondary financing?
Yes.
Supplemental, yep.
Yep.
And it had its own parameters. Did it have its own prepayment penalty?
I need to go a little, I need to go to the documents and go a little bit deeper on that.
Okay, so not sure. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Next question.
All right, this one's from another Lewis. He says, what would your cash on cash be if
Oh.
you had to get it?
Let me just say something. Typically, I just realized, popped in my head. On a supplemental loan, especially with the same lender, you're not going to be able to refinance just a supplemental. You're going to have to, they're grouped together. So therefore, when you sell or refi, you've got to do both at the same time. Even if it was a secondary financing from another lender, you would not be able, typically, you would not be able to refinance that note without refinancing the primary. Because the primary has first right of refusals for all things, and they have all the rights. So typically they don't allow. Number one, they don't allow secondary financing, so that's why the supplemental with the same company works. But number two, if there is secondary financing, very rarely do they allow any changing of that. So go ahead, Jermaine.
All right, this one's from another Lewis says, what would your cash on cash be if you had to get a new loan at 6.5% 30-year ARM?
Well, to be quite honest, we did not do the underwriting with that because it was from the beginning unassumable, but probably it would be underwater or very, very skinny deal.
Also, we wouldn't take it.
That was an interesting question. I wonder if it's based on today's interest rates, even though there are below 6.5 right now. But yeah, I mean, you're safe with the assumable. What was the rate on the supplemental? What's your combined? Oh, you said your combined rate was 5, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're pretty safe, especially on a 10-year.
Yeah.
Next.
All right, this is last two questions. This one is from George. He wants to know, David, can you explain what a pref is?
Yeah, so pref, let's say that on their particular deal, their first year was 4%, their second year was 6% cash on cash return, but they had given a pref of 7%. So therefore, if they were deficient between the 4 and the 7, the 3%, that would actually accumulate. So that would be owed all the way up to the resale of the property. And that's the way a lot of people were doing deals the last couple of years. They were doing prefs that say a 7, the first year or two as they were doing their value add, coming in below that, but they figure when they go to resell the property, they'll get the returns there and they'll be able to make up the accumulated returns that they weren't able to get, those, when they were deficient on the pref. So that's what it's a preferred return. Yeah. Risky.
All right. And the
Risky
last
to do it
one.
like that.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Last one, Dave, is this one's from Todd. He says, how did the assumable happen so fast? Can you please explain?
I have to tell that was because we had Rob and Claudia. They are just amazing and how fast they work. They also had an amazing attorney in Texas that was just very, very fast. So when the lender asked for some documents, they had it the next day. So, and if it took a little bit longer, it was 2 days, but there was no document that they requested that we took weeks to get by. Everything was.
Who's the lender?
Colliers.
Because I must say, even even with I've got experience doing those loans as well, and it's good that lender has a lot to do with it getting done that fast as well. They must have wanted it off the books by the end of the year. You know what I mean? Because it's usually the lenders that, no matter how fast you get them the documents, it's usually the lenders that take the time because it's got to go through committees, processes, and all that. But they must have wanted, everybody gets backed up at the end of the year. You put something together in October, the chances of it closing by the end of the year are slim. But they must have wanted this off their books or changed in their books or something to get it done that fast. Because I've just never heard of it being done in that short a time frame. Like I said, it's a speed record.
I think the agent had a lot to do with that. From very early in the process, since we knew that was the possibility to assume the loan, the broker gave us the information of the lender, and I started to talk to the lender very early in the process, and I think I built some rapport with her and with the agent. And then we had a meeting before we even were down the line that we got the deal awarded. So we had some communication prior to having the deal awarded to us. Let's put it like that.
Excellent. Well, that's awesome. Now you guys are off and running. This is your first deal, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So first deal, expect the next deal to come within 2 or 3 months. That's usually what happens. And then another one comes and another one comes. And all of a sudden you say to yourself, holy shit, the deals are coming in fast. And now I got to work on my infrastructure. Right? That's
Hope to
usually
have
what
that
happens.
problem soon.
Yeah,
Working on
absolutely.
that.
So congratulations, guys. That's awesome. You guys did a great podcast. A lot of great information out there. And
Thank
good
you
luck
for
on this.
inviting us.
Oh, my
Thank you for
pleasure.
inviting us.
Good
And
luck
thank
on
you
this
for
deal.
amazing school you
Okay.
have on there and all the people around you.
Yeah, Ari Mentor, that we celebrated our 20th year last year, and most of the people that work here have been here for 10 plus years, and Jeannie's been here for 24, and my brother's been with us, and it's just the quality of the, when you pick up the phone and you call, there's somebody here to answer it on the other end, and that's what it is. It's my ability to build a good team, I guess, is why this company's so good. It's certainly not because of me, because there's probably the worst micromanager in the world is me. I just let everybody else do their thing. So it's pretty awesome. But I do, and Jeff creates a lot of the content now. One thing I am good at is creating the educational content, and Jeff's really excellent at that as well. But anyways, thanks for that compliment, and you guys are awesome. We'll send it. Jermaine, could you send them a copy of this when it comes through, and you guys can use that as you want.
Definitely will.
We'll
Thank
see
you.
everybody else. So we'll be in Austin next week with Insiders Club here, so we won't be doing a podcast, but the week after that we'll be doing it on Tuesday at 12, I believe. No, Wednesday at 12. Yeah, new time. All right. Happy 2023 to everybody. Take care.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Blessings, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.